So in this video, I'm going to give you some overall rituals just to work with in general, and then I'll go into specific rituals or intentions that you should set for this pink moon relative to your rising sign. What is up, Smudge Wellness? It's your girl Jazmin Kylene. I am a spiritual counselor, I'm a journalist, I'm an astrologer hopping around looking at things and enjoying them maybe. And I'm so excited to come to you with a couple of rituals that you can do to celebrate this upcoming pink moon, aka the full moon in Libra. So, disappointment alert, this moon is, sorry, there's little dusties flying around and they're distracting me. So this actual full moon is not physically pink, it's actually named after the phlox flower, but I feel like the energy feels very pink. We're still under the influence of this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Venus is in Pisces, so we're under this very like ethereal, dreamy Venusian energy. So Libra actually shares its planetary ruler with Taurus, which is Venus, so we're under this very ethereal, dreamlike, feminine energy. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to work alongside this in some ritual formats, but just as an overview, this full moon is all about, you know, the themes of Libra, which are balance, relationships, peace, and harmony in our lives. So we really want to look at what in our lives are imbalanced, especially when it comes to our relationships. So what relationships take more than they give? What roles are you playing in your relationships? And are you honoring relationships that mirror back to you who you have grown and evolved into, right? If you've done a lot of work on yourself and you've outgrown different themes of your life or habits or ways of being, and your relationships are kind of still stuck in that old skin you used to stand in, now's the time to reflect on, am I just maintaining relationships that actually are stagnant and no longer honor where I have grown and evolved into being? Or conversely, if you have been in a period of like solitude and you want to honor and cultivate community in a way that reflects and mirrors who you have evolved into, then now is the time to like invite in more social activity into your life and to really build community and friendships that honor your truth and who you stand in now. And also conversely to that, if you have too many relationships, and this is something that I'm kind of realizing, is that there are a lot of people that think that they're my best friend, and if you have too many relationships and it is taking away from you honoring and nurturing like those core friendships that you would actually benefit more from paying more attention to and giving more energy to, now is the time to reflect on like, how can I be more discerning with my accessibility? So yes, relationships, really reflect on them, and we'll talk a little bit about how we can do that in a ritual format. But also balance and harmony in your life. You want to look at what is imbalanced in my life. Am I giving too much and not receiving? Am I working too much and not playing? Or am I playing too much and not getting anything done? Am I asking for too much and not actually offering anything in return? Really looking at where is the balance and harmony in your divine feminine and masculine and all the different polarities in your life, and how can you not fix one extreme by honoring another extreme, but rather finding yourself in a healthy middle ground. So in this video, I'm going to give you some overall rituals just to work with in general, and then I'll go into specific rituals or intentions that you should set for this pink moon relative to your rising sign. Also look out for your sun sign because it will be affecting the house that your sun is in, but ultimately really pay attention to what your rising sign says. So getting into the rituals, right, me being the queen of ritualizing her entire life, the first thing that I would invite you to do is really work with the color pink. Now, I am a huge proponent for color healing, color therapy, chromotherapy, however you call it. It's been practiced since the times of ancient Egypt, and I lead a ton of color healing workshops that I will definitely share on my Instagram if you don't follow me for the next one that I will be leading. But I am a huge advocate for working with colors, especially in ritual. So being that this is the pink moon, you really want to work with the color pink, especially because we are really in that divine feminine state of healing, especially when it comes to our relationships. If you are especially in particular wanting to invite in more romance into your life, now is the time to not only set intention on that, but to work with the color pink. So you want to wear the color pink on the 16th, that's the day of the pink moon, but also get a pink candle and light it. Work with pink flowers. This moon, this lunation, is named after the phlox flower, like I mentioned earlier, so if you want to actually specifically work with that flower, that would be amazing. But otherwise, pink roses, pink lilies, like whatever pink flower that you can invite in, because that's not only going to get you in harmony with the color aspect of it, but also like the spring aspect of it. This is a gorgeous lunar transit for inviting in new beginnings and new bloom, especially because we're coming out of very tumultuous astrological weather, but also we're entering eclipse season. So the full moon and new moon transits that happen during eclipse seasons I wouldn't really recommend you work with in terms of like manifestation, just because that kind of tends to blow up in our face a little bit. Those are more periods of like rest and witnessing. So I will say this is kind of like the last illumination we'll have for a little bit that I would really invite you to work with. So with that being said, work with it, work with the color pink, light those candles, and really just manifest from a state of pleasure. Which leads me into the next ritual, and this is probably gonna feel counterintuitive, but like the main thing I would do is nothing. Which, okay, mind you, yes, I totally just said that we're gonna be doing nothing for eclipse season, so do something for this, but sometimes the something is nothing. Hear me out. This is such a divine feminine ruled lunar transit, and sometimes we think that we have to implement so much action, and that is probably where you're meant to be finding balance, right? So sometimes when we're in a constant state of doing, we burn ourselves out and we don't feel deserving of the receiving. Sometimes when we're, you know, constantly indulging in receiving, we're not actually implementing any doing or any discipline. So find yourself in a healthy middle ground. But when it comes to this lunar transit, there's so much pleasure that you can gift yourself in rest, right? Venus is a planet that is all about nurture, that is all about feeling good, smelling good things, really honoring all of our senses. So you want to make sure that during this lunar transit you are eating delicious foods, you are taking extra naps, you're making sure that your blankets are extra soft, and that you are really honoring what it means to indulge in luxury and pleasure and in rest. So know that like you don't have to exert any effort that doesn't want to be exerted. Burn out the energy that does want to burn out. So like go for a jog, you know, do what you have to do, but then come home and receive, making sure that you are receiving, that you are resting, that you are honoring all of your senses with what feels good. So the next thing I would say to do is a relationship audit. So you really want to sit, and I would grab a journal, right? Really ritualize this. Sit and write down the main people that are in your life. And this is romantic partners, platonic partners, your family members, you know, your familial relationships, your professional relationships. And then the last one you want to be the relationship that you have with yourself. And you want to have each name written out and really sit with the energy of every single person. And one by one with each name, sit. Just sit with the name, connect and go within in your body and say or witness, how does this relationship, how does this person sit and feel in my life? And you really want to let your body let you know. There isn't any overthinking to happen here. There's only some feeling and some witnessing and some observing that needs to happen. So you want to go one by one and say, does this relationship honor who I've evolved into? Does this relationship take more than I have to give? Am I taking too much from this relationship and not really giving, right? Being fully honest and accountable here, but really recognizing and sitting with the awareness and the truth of what comes up when you just sit with the name of the person in your body. And then when you come back up, you know, write down what immediately flows out, whether that's, I need to place more boundaries here, I need to ask them to stop doing this thing, or you know, let them know how this certain dynamic makes me feel, or apologize for this thing, or ask for an apology for this thing, or spend more time with this person because they feel so good, or give them more hugs, or just acknowledge the goodness that they bring into my life, or maybe put some boundaries on how much I answer the phone when they call. Whatever that truth is, making sure that that flows out onto the paper, and then moving on to the next person. And really do that with all of your relationships, and the main one, the core of it, being the relationship that you have with yourself. Really sit and ask yourself, how am I showing up for myself? Am I burning my own self out? Am I supportive? Is my inner dialogue supportive, or am I my own biggest critic? Really look at the ways in which you are diluting your dreams, and if you're supportive of the largeness of your potential, and really just be honest with yourself on, am I a safe home within myself? So do that relationship audit. Sit down at your altar or sacred space while you do it, making sure that you have that journal with you, that you have every name written out, and that you let flow out what needs to flow out. And lastly, visualize, visualize, visualize. Like I said, we're still under that Jupiter/Neptune conjunction energy, which was such a beautiful opportunity for visualization, right? We were really in that third eye energy, and we're still in that divine feminine state. So you really want to make sure that you are visualizing during this transit. So just sit, like I said, at a sacred space or visit nature, and I really want you to immerse yourself in the deliciousness and the flavors and the physicality of the fullest version of your life, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. If you are calling those in, or you're calling a single partnership in, you want to make sure that you are being really, really, really clear when it comes to what kind of partnership do you want, what kind of partner do you want, what kind of partner do you want to be, what do you want the relationship to feel like, how easy is it, how safe is it, how expansive is it, how funny and playful and pleasurable and passionate? Is it really feel all the feelings that you want to come with this partnership, and sit in the visualization of it? See what you'll be wearing, see where you guys will be traveling to, see what it feels like, what foods will you be eating, what is your shared space gonna look like, what are you guys gonna do together. Really immerse yourself in the visualization of all of the sweetness and the deliciousness that you want to invite into your life. It doesn't just have to be partnership, right? Just visualize honestly what does the largest potential of your life look like, right? So like in your workspace, in your career, in your creative outlets, what your home looks like, what your own physical appearance looks like. Especially if you're a Libra rising, this moon is going to be transiting your first house, so you want to make sure that you're really like being consciously aware of what does that look like for me? What does the fullest potential of how I show up in this world, honor my authenticity look like? So now getting into the rising signs. If you are an Aries rising, then this is going to be in your 7th house of relationships. So this is going to be extra exaggerated for you. You really want to make sure that you are looking at where can I invite in more peace, more harmony, and more balance into my relationships. If you are a Taurus rising, then this is going to be in your 6th house, which rules your health, your routine, and your daily commitment. So you want to make sure that you are balancing. Sometimes when we have any energy here, we can be hypercritical of like our state of productivity, and if we aren't doing enough, we're not deserving of receiving back. So you want to make sure that you have harmony and balance with doing and receiving, play and work, but also just like where can you be or invite in more balance and harmony when it comes to your diet, to your health, your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health, and your routine. Do you have routine? Do you need routine? Look at that. If you're a Gemini rising or Gemini sun, like I said, this is for rising and sun signs, this is going to be in your 5th house of creativity and of play and of romance. So you really want to make sure that you are indulging and that you're setting intention on what it means to be in that creative space. Also just being aware of any ways in which you are bringing disharmony to your own creative outlets, right? Like, are you actually showing up in a consistent way with your creativity and your creative expression? Really looking at that. But also it's important to note that when we still have that Neptunian energy that we are under, when we're having any 5th house transits, there is this element of like delusion that we can sometimes fall victim to. So making sure that if you're dating anyone right now or you're enjoying exploring, that you are not missing the red flags by looking at a rose-colored lens, but that you're also letting this pink fun energy push you to be more explorative when it comes to your dating life. If you're a Cancer rising, this is in your 4th house, so you really want to make sure that you're in a stable and healthy space when it comes to your divine feminine, right? Like, are you allowing yourself to receive? What does home look like for you? How can you bring more peace, balance, and harmony into your home, into your maternal relationships, and ultimately into your own inner world? If you're a Leo rising, then this is going to be in your 3rd house. This is the house of communication, of how we speak, of how we use our mind and our voice and our platform. So you want to make sure that you are in a balanced state when it comes to listening and speaking. If you are someone who oversteps when other people are speaking, making sure that you are practice active listening. And if you are someone that doesn't really feel, if you're a Leo rising, I doubt that you aren't comfortable with speaking up. But if for any instance you are, or even when outside of speaking up, really just like being expressive and saying what you need to say and finding your intellectuality to be a tool and a resource is really important. If you're a Virgo rising, this is going to be in your 2nd house, so you really want to set intention on your relationship with money. How do you feel and define money? Are you in a state of peace and balance and harmony when it comes to how you spend money, how you receive money, how deserving you are of money, and also like how you're spending money? So if you're very overindulgent when it comes to like, put it on the card, look at how you could perhaps be more disciplined or discerning there. Or if you're too strict in the way that you spend your money, maybe letting yourself be more free and more explorative and see money as energy, and know that like when you spend it from a place of love, you'll receive it back in a place of love. Also the 2nd house rules our sense of self-worth, so you really want to look at where do I and how do I derive value from myself. And like I mentioned, if you're a Libra rising, then this is in your 1st house. This is the house that rules our appearance and how we stand, our identity. So you want to make sure that like above all else, you're being fun and expressive with the way that you wear yourself and you wear your identity. You want to look at, am I living in my truth when it comes to how I stand in this world and how the world sees and perceives and hears me? So yeah, making sure that you're physically reflecting who you are inwardly or who you've grown to be inwardly. And yeah, like I said, finding peace and harmony, right? The 1st house opposes the 7th house. So this is also going to bring up themes of relationships, right? Like, who am I when my self-worth is innately resourced? Is there balance there? Is there balance within where I source my worth, how I show up for others versus how I'm showing up for myself? those kinds of big questions. If you are a Scorpio rising, this is in your 12th house. So this rules our shadow world, our subconscious, right? Also our relationship with like our own intuition. So you want to make sure, am I over intellectualizing my thoughts and emotions? And is that disconnecting me from listening to my intuition, right? Finding peace and harmony with logic versus intuitive thinking and decision making. And yeah, really looking at your inner world and finding out where can I invite in more peace when it comes to my subconscious world. Also, you will probably have some crazy dreams. We're all having weird dreams under all of this Pisces energy, but like with this being in your Pisces house, your dreams are going to be hella weird. If you're a Sagittarius rising, this is going to be in your 11th house. I'm a Sag rising, so I already am seeing the themes of this sprout. The 11th house rules our friendships, our relationships, also the digital, our digital identity. So you want to look at is my relationship with social media in a harmonious and balanced place, which for me it is absolutely not. I'm way too addicted to Instagram and like it's genuinely like affecting my life. But also you want to look at in what ways can I cultivate a community that honors who I've grown into? What do my relationships give to me? What relationships are taking too much from me? Do I have too many friends? Do I have not enough friends? Really looking at your friendships, your community, your relationships on a platonic level, and yeah, your relationship with the internet. If you're a Capricorn rising, this is in your 10th house. This is a divine masculine, right? So this is the opposite of the 4th house. It's also our house of career, our house of father, paternal energy. So yeah, all those same themes for the 4th house, but like flipped. So how am I showing up in my outer world? My career platform, is there peace, harmony, and balance there? Also in my divine masculine, am I doing enough, or am I doing too much and not allowing myself to receive and let the universe have any sort of guidance when it comes to what I'm building for myself? And yeah, how can you invite in more peace and harmony when it comes to your paternal relationships, or who you are, and your own paternal energy when it comes to like taking care of yourself or others, or if you have children, that as well. If you're Aquarius rising, this will be in your 9th house. So this is the house that rules spirituality and travel. So you want to make sure that you are being expansive and liberated when it comes to how you define not only how you define God, but also how you experience God, how you witness God, how you return and ritualize God. But when we're 2 in the 9th house, we're not that grounded either. So you want to make sure that there's peace and balance when it comes to exploring philosophy and spiritual themes versus like being in this 3D human experience. And also travel, inviting in more fun. You know, any themes that I have gone over for these rising signs or your sun sign, not only are you looking for peace, balance, and harmony in these areas, but you are also looking to like indulge a bit more deeper in these areas. For example, I know Gemini was in the 5th house. You also want to make sure that you're just being more indulgent and creative and expansive when it comes to what your creative outlets are, that you're not approaching them too seriously, but rather that you're inviting in more opportunity to be more like fluid in those areas as well. So yeah, when it comes to the 9th house for my Aqua risings or Aqua suns, yeah, have fun traveling a bit more and making more vacations. Wow, I'm an Aquarius sun and I'm realizing I like just booked a trip to Costa Rica for no reason, and I realized this is a reason why, because sometimes there is not a reason for our pleasure. Sometimes we are just innately deserving of exploration. So yes. And lastly, if you are a Pisces rising, first of all, you're iconic, and second of all, you have this in your 8th house. So the 8th house is the house of death, sex, and rebirth. It's the Scorpio house. So anytime we have a transit here, we really want to look at in what ways are we allowing our skin to be shed versus are we so addicted to change that we are ungrounded and we don't have any sense of stability. So really looking at, you know, the balance and the harmony there. And also, you know, like I said, inviting more harmony into this house looks like allowing yourself to change paths, allowing yourself to transform your own identity in the ways in which your identity is asking to be transformed in that given day, in that given moment, in that given breath. I hope that those resonated with your rising and sun signs. I hope that you enjoyed this pink moon. It's a really gorgeous one. It's a great lunation to work with, especially because, like I said, we're going into eclipse energy, so we just want to take advantage of this nice calm eye of the storm that we're in. So with that being said, I'm sending you all my love. Thank you to Smudge Wellness for housing my voice. It always means the world. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on YouTube by Jazmin Kylene, if you're not already watching this from my YouTube, or Instagram at Jazmin Kylene, or you can go to jasminkylene.com to work with me one-on-one. Until May 2nd, I am donating all of the readings that I'm doing forward to different charities. So if you want to work with me, now would be a beautiful time because it will go towards something great. And with that being said, yeah, Have a good one.